Let me tell you something. Success is not loud. Success is not flashy. Success is not running around telling everybody what you're about to do. Success is built in silence. Everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants applause. Everybody wants validation. But the real winners, they move differently. They understand that some things lose their power the moment you announce them to the world. Today, I'm going to give you 6 secrets you should never share if you truly want to succeed in life. Move in silence. In a world where everybody feels the need to announce their next step, your greatest advantage is restraint. When you speak too soon about what you are planning, you give away energy that should have been used for execution. Words feel productive, but they are not progress. Real progress happens when nobody is watching, when the work is hard and unglamorous. Silence forces you to rely on discipline instead of applause. It keeps your focus sharp and your intentions pure. When you stop talking about what you will do, you free yourself to actually do it. There is a psychological trap in sharing your goals too early. The praise you receive for announcing a plan can trick your brain into feeling accomplished before you have even started. That temporary satisfaction weakens your hunger. You start believing you are closer to the finish line than you truly are. Silence protects your ambition from that illusion. When nobody knows what you are building, there is no early celebration, no false reward. There is only the work. And when the work becomes your only source of validation, your standards rise higher than public approval ever could. Moving in silence also shields you from unnecessary opinions. The moment you declare your plans, everyone becomes an advisor. Some will project their fears onto you. Others will measure your dream against their limitations. Even well-meaning friends can plant seeds of doubt without realizing it. Doubt spreads quickly if you allow it room to grow. Silence eliminates that noise. It creates a controlled environment where your ideas can develop without interference. You do not owe the world an explanation of your next move. Your responsibility is to execute with precision, not to convince others that you can. Silence builds mystery, and mystery builds power. When people cannot predict your moves, they cannot interfere with them. There is strength in being underestimated. When others assume you are doing little, you gain the freedom to prepare without pressure. Pressure increases when expectations are announced publicly. By staying quiet, you remove that burden. You can fail privately, adjust quietly, and improve steadily. Every correction happens without an audience. That freedom accelerates growth because you are not performing for approval. You are refining your craft without distraction, sharpening your edge while the world remains unaware of your progress. When you move in silence, your actions become intentional. Every step is calculated, not rushed to satisfy curiosity. You begin to value preparation more than presentation. Instead of posting about your workout, you focus on pushing one more rep. Instead of announcing a business idea, you spend nights studying, planning, and refining it. Silence trains patience. It teaches you to delay recognition for long-term achievement. That patience becomes your competitive advantage. While others chase attention, you chase mastery. And mastery requires solitude, repetition, and a commitment to improvement that does not depend on anyone watching. Silence also strengthens resilience. When setbacks happen, you handle them without public embarrassment. There is no pressure to explain why something did not work. You simply adjust and continue. That quiet persistence builds mental toughness. You learn to solve problems instead of defending your reputation. The fewer people who know your plans, the fewer opinions you must manage when obstacles arise. You conserve emotional energy for solutions rather than explanations. Over time, this habit creates stability. You become grounded, steady, and focused, even when circumstances challenge your direction and demand your full attention. Moving in silence sharpens your listening skills. When you are not busy talking about your next achievement, you have time to observe. You study patterns. You learn from others' mistakes. You recognize opportunities that loud people overlook. Silence makes you strategic because you gather information instead of broadcasting intentions. You begin to understand timing, and timing is everything. Acting at the right moment often matters more than acting quickly. By staying quiet, you give yourself space to evaluate, to prepare thoroughly, and to strike when the opportunity aligns perfectly with your preparation and readiness. Silence transforms your results into your introduction. When you finally achieve what you have been building toward, the impact is undeniable. There are no long explanations, no repeated promises, only evidence. People respect what they can see more than what they hear. When your success appears without warning, it carries weight. It commands attention naturally. That kind of arrival cannot be faked because it was earned in private. The discipline you practice in silence becomes visible in your performance, Your consistency speaks through your results, and your growth becomes undeniable proof of your quiet dedication. There's a psychological trap in sharing your goals too early, and most people fall into it without even realizing it. The moment you announce your ambitions, you receive instant feedback. Some people applaud you, some admire your courage, some even congratulate you as if you have already achieved something significant. That reaction creates a dangerous illusion of progress. Your brain releases satisfaction chemicals that mimic the feeling of accomplishment. But you have not done the work yet. You have only described it. That premature reward weakens the drive that was supposed to push you through the struggle. When you speak your goals out loud, you often confuse intention with execution. Intention feels powerful because it gives you identity. You start seeing yourself as the future entrepreneur, the future author, the future leader. But identity without action is empty. Silence forces you to confront reality. It removes the comfort of public approval and leaves you alone with your commitment. Without applause to lean on, you must depend on discipline. That shift changes everything. Instead of performing ambition, you begin practicing it daily through small, consistent actions that move you closer to real achievement. Early praise can lower your standards without you noticing. When people respond positively to your announcement, it feels like validation. That validation can trick you into relaxing your effort. You begin to think you are already on the path simply because you declared it. But success does not respond to declarations. It responds to dedication. Silence keeps your hunger alive. When nobody is praising your potential, you remain aware of the gap between where you are and where you want to be. That awareness fuels persistence, and pushes you to close that gap through focused effort. Sharing your plans too soon also exposes them to unnecessary comparison. Once your goals are public, people measure your progress against their timelines and expectations. They may question your speed, your strategy, or your capability. Even subtle comparisons can affect your confidence. Silence protects you from that pressure. It allows you to move at your own pace without external judgment. You can experiment, fail, and adjust without feeling observed. Growth becomes personal rather than performative. That freedom creates a healthier mindset where improvement is driven by internal standards instead of external competition. There is also the risk of absorbing other people's fears. When you announce a bold goal, some will respond with doubt disguised as concern. They may remind you of risks, challenges, and statistics. While their intentions may not be malicious, their words can plant hesitation in your mind. Doubt spreads quietly and can slow your momentum. Silence limits exposure to those limiting beliefs. It creates a controlled mental environment where your confidence can develop without constant questioning. Protecting your mindset is essential, because belief is often the first foundation of meaningful achievement. When you keep your goals private, your motivation becomes intrinsic rather than external. You are no longer working to maintain an image. You are working because you genuinely want the result. That internal motivation is more sustainable. It does not fluctuate based on compliments or criticism. It remains steady even when progress feels slow. Silence strengthens that inner drive because it removes the distraction of public reaction. You learn to measure progress by effort and improvement rather than attention. That shift builds character and reinforces the habits required for long-term success. Sexually also encourages deeper preparation. Instead of spending time discussing your ambitions, you invest that time refining your skills. You study more carefully, you plan more strategically, you anticipate obstacles and develop solutions quietly. This preparation increases your confidence because it is built on competence, not conversation. The more prepared you are, the less you feel the need to announce your direction. Silence becomes natural when you are fully engaged in development. Your focus shifts from telling people what you will achieve to ensuring that you are fully equipped to achieve it. Keeping your goals to yourself preserves the power of surprise and impact. When success finally arrives, it speaks louder because it was not repeatedly advertised. People see the transformation instead of hearing about the intention. That contrast creates credibility. It demonstrates that you value action over words. The journey remains personal and protected until the results are undeniable. By resisting the urge to announce every ambition, you strengthen discipline, maintain hunger, and build quietly toward outcomes that require no explanation. Everyone has weaknesses. Everyone has weaknesses. That is part of being human. No matter how confident, skilled, or experienced you are, there are areas where you struggle. The mistake is not having weaknesses. The mistake is exposing them to the wrong people. When you reveal your vulnerabilities without discernment, you risk placing your future in careless hands. Not everyone who listens is there to support you. Some are curious, some are competitive, some are quietly waiting for an opportunity. Wisdom is knowing that transparency requires trust, and trust must be earned over time through consistent character and proven loyalty. Vulnerability is powerful when shared in the right environment. It allows growth, healing, and mentorship. But in the wrong environment, it becomes ammunition. People who lack integrity may store your confessions and use them strategically when it benefits them. A moment of frustration shared publicly can be remembered as a permanent weakness. A fear expressed casually can be repeated as a defining flaw. This is why discernment matters. Before opening up, ask yourself whether the person listening has demonstrated maturity, discretion, and genuine care. Not everyone deserves access to your internal battles and private reflections. Confidence is fragile during its rebuilding stages. When you are working on improving a weakness, you are in transition. You are not who you were, but you are not yet who you aim to become. During this period, careless criticism can be damaging. If you expose your insecurities to people who do not understand growth, they may reinforce your old identity instead of encouraging your progress. Silence during transformation protects your momentum. It allows you to strengthen quietly without defending yourself against premature judgment or misunderstanding from observers who do not see your full potential. There is a difference between seeking help and seeking validation. When you share a weakness with the right mentor, you are looking for guidance and solutions. When you share it broadly, you may unconsciously be looking for reassurance. Reassurance feels comforting, but it does not always produce growth. The right mentor challenges you while supporting you. The wrong audience sympathizes but leaves you stagnant. Choosing carefully who hears your struggles ensures that your vulnerability leads to development instead of dependency. Growth requires courage, but it also requires strategic boundaries that protect your evolving identity and strengthen your emotional resilience. Professional environments demand even greater caution. In competitive spaces, informatio, and as currency, if colleagues know where you doubt yourself, some may question your capability during critical decisions. This does not mean pretending to be perfect. It means understanding timing and context. Discuss weaknesses with those responsible for your development, not with those competing for the same opportunity. Protecting your professional image does not make you dishonest. It makes you strategic. You can acknowledge areas of improvement without broadcasting insecurities that might limit how others perceive your leadership and potential. Emotional discipline plays a major role in this principle. When you feel overwhelmed, the urge to vent can be strong. Speaking impulsively about your fears or frustrations may bring temporary relief. However, temporary relief can create long-term consequences if the listener lacks discretion. Pausing before sharing gives you control. It allows you to evaluate whether the moment requires expression or reflection. Often, writing your thoughts privately or processing them through focused self-assessment strengthens you more than immediate disclosure. Emotional maturity means managing your feelings without handing them to people who may mishandle them. Trust should be built gradually, not granted instantly. Observe how someone handles other people's secrets before giving them yours. Notice whether they gossip, judge, or exaggerate. Patterns reveal character. If someone casually discusses others' weaknesses, they will likely treat yours the same way. Patience in building trust protects your dignity. When you finally choose to open up, it should be to individuals who have proven their reliability through actions, not just words. That level of caution ensures your vulnerability becomes a bridge to growth rather than a source of regret or exposure. Guarding your weaknesses does not mean hiding from improvement. It means being intentional about the process. Work on your flaws with focus and humility. Seek counsel from those qualified to guide you. Strengthen quietly until what once felt like a limitation becomes an area of competence. By controlling who sees your struggles, you control the narrative of your growth. Over time, the weaknesses you protected and refined in private transform into strengths that speak confidently for themselves through consistent performance and undeniable progress. Money is one of the most sensitive subjects in human relationships. The moment you begin sharing details about your income or financial plans, the dynamics around you can shift. People start measuring you differently. Some may admire you for what you earn, while others may quietly resent your progress. Financial transparency in the wrong circles creates unnecessary tension. What was once a genuine connection can slowly become transactional. Protecting your financial information preserves the purity of your relationships. It allows people to value you for your character, not for the numbers attached to your name. When others know how much you make, expectations begin to form. Invitations, favors, and requests can increase. People may assume you can afford to carry more responsibility simply because they believe you have more resources. That pressure can become exhausting. You may feel obligated to maintain a certain lifestyle or image to match the income you disclosed. Silence eliminates that burden. By keeping your financial situation private, you free yourself from social assumptions. You make decisions based on your goals, not on how others think you should spend or share your earnings. Financial plans are especially fragile in their early stages. Whether you are saving to invest, building a business, or paying off debt, your strategy requires focus and discipline. Announcing those plans too soon invites commentary. Some people may question your approach. Others may discourage you based on their own financial fears or past failures. Even subtle doubt can influence your confidence. Keeping your plans private allows you to execute without defending every choice. You can adjust your strategy quietly, learn from mistakes, and refine your path without public scrutiny or unsolicited advice. There is also a security aspect to consider. Public knowledge of your income or assets can make you vulnerable to exploitation. Not everyone who shows interest in your finances has good intentions. Oversharing can attract manipulation, scams, or individuals seeking personal gain. Discretion acts as protection. By limiting who understands your financial position, you reduce unnecessary risk. Security is not only about physical safety, but also about safeguarding opportunities and investments. Strategic silence ensures that your wealth-building efforts remain shielded from those who might attempt to take advantage of your success. Wealth built quietly often grows more steadily. When you are not focused on impressing others with visible symbols of success, you make smarter financial choices. You prioritize long-term stability over short-term recognition. Instead of upgrading your lifestyle to match public expectations, you reinvest in assets, skills, and opportunities. Silence helps you avoid comparison. When people do not know your numbers, they cannot measure your progress against theirs. This freedom encourages disciplined spending and thoughtful investing, creating a foundation that supports sustainable growth rather than temporary displays of prosperity. Discussing money openly can also affect personal identity. If your income becomes a common topic, it may start defining how others see you. You may be labeled as the successful one, the wealthy one, or the struggling one. Those labels can influence your behavior subconsciously. You might feel pressured to live up to them or embarrassed if circumstances change. Financial privacy prevents identity from being tied to fluctuating numbers. It reminds you that worth is not determined by income. Your value remains rooted in character, integrity, and contribution rather than financial status. Silence around money encourages humility. When you achieve financial milestones without broadcasting them, you stay grounded. Gratitude replaces arrogance. You remember the effort and discipline required to reach each level. Public celebration of income can sometimes create pride that distracts from continued growth. Quiet progress keeps you focused. It reinforces the understanding that wealth is a tool, not a trophy. By avoiding constant discussion of your finances, you maintain perspective. You see money as a resource to build freedom and opportunity rather than as a measure of superiority. Keeping financial matters private strengthens strategic thinking. It allows you to plan long-term without interference. You can take calculated risks, explore investments, and recover from setbacks without external pressure. Financial journeys are rarely linear. There are gains and losses, expansions and corrections. Silence provides the flexibility to navigate these phases discreetly. You protect both your reputation and your peace of mind. By controlling who knows the details of your income and plans, you maintain authority over your financial narrative and preserve the stability necessary for lasting success. Struggles are a natural part of growth. Every person striving for something meaningful will encounter obstacles, setbacks, and moments of doubt. The challenge is not the struggle itself, but how you handle it. When you are in the middle of a storm, emotions are raw and clarity is limited. Sharing every detail with everyone around you can sometimes magnify the pain instead of reducing it. Not every battle needs an audience. Some seasons are meant for reflection and resilience. Protecting your struggles while you are still navigating them preserves your focus and emotional stability. When you speak about difficulties too early, you may unintentionally solidify them as part of your identity. Words are powerful. Repeating your problems publicly can reinforce a narrative of defeat in your own mind. Instead of seeing the struggle as temporary, you may begin to see it as permanent. Silence during hardship gives you space to process without labeling yourself negatively. It allows you to separate the challenge from your identity. You are not your setback. You are not your mistake. You are a person learning, adapting, and strengthening through experience. Actor does not align with your journey. When you share struggles widely, everyone has an opinion. Some suggestions may come from people who have never faced your specific challenge. Their guidance might be based on fear, assumptions, or limited understanding. Listening to too many voices can create confusion. Instead of trusting your judgment, you may second-guess every decision. Keeping your struggles private while you analyze solutions helps you think clearly. It allows you to seek counsel selectively from those who truly understand your path and intentions. Emotional reactions are strongest in the middle of difficulty. During these moments, you might express frustration in ways that do not fully represent your long-term mindset. Public expressions made in temporary pain can have lasting consequences. People may remember your lowest words rather than your highest resilience. By choosing silence, you give yourself time to cool down, reflect, and respond wisely. This pause builds emotional intelligence. It teaches you that strength is not about suppressing feelings, but about managing them carefully so they do not control your future decisions. Privacy during struggle also builds inner toughness, and you rely less on external sympathy. You develop deeper self-reliance. Not being. Instead of seeking constant reassurance, you learn to encourage yourself. You discover your own capacity to endure discomfort. This process strengthens your mental endurance. Growth often happens in isolation, where there's no applause and no comforting audience. It is in these quiet battles that character is shaped. By handling certain challenges internally, you train your mind to remain steady under pressure and focused on long-term solutions rather than short-term relief. There is a difference between asking for help and broadcasting pain. Seeking help from a trusted mentor, friend, or professional is wise. Broadcasting every hardship to a broad audience is not always productive. Discernment matters. Choose carefully who you allow into your difficult seasons. Select individuals who offer constructive support rather than passive sympathy. Constructive support challenges you to improve. Passive sympathy may keep you comfortable but stagnant. Strategic privacy ensures that your vulnerability leads to empowerment rather than dependency on constant validation from others. Struggles often carry lessons that need quiet contemplation. When you immediately speak about a challenge, you may miss the deeper insight it offers. Reflection requires stillness. It requires stepping back from noise and analyzing what went wrong, what can improve, and what must change. Silence creates room for that analysis. It allows you to transform pain into wisdom. When you process internally first, you gain clarity. Later, if you choose to share your experience, you do so from a place of strength and understanding rather than confusion. Handling struggles privately while you are still in them protects your reputation and your confidence. Once you have overcome the obstacle, your story carries power. It shifts from a complaint to a testimony of resilience. People respect solutions more than problems. By waiting until you have learned and grown, you control how your narrative is presented. Your journey becomes an example of perseverance rather than a display of vulnerability without direction. Quiet endurance builds a foundation of strength that supports future challenges with greater confidence and composure. Elevation changes you. As you grow, your mindset expands, your habits sharpen, and your standards rise. But growth is delicate in its early stages. When you announce your next level before you reach it, you expose it to opinions that may not understand your transformation. Not everyone is prepared to see you evolve. Some people are comfortable with the version of you they have always known. Speaking too soon about your rise can invite resistance, doubt, or subtle discouragement. Silence protects your evolution while it is still forming and allows you to develop without external pressure. When you talk about the next level before arriving there, you create expectations that may distract you. Once people know what you claim you will become, they begin watching closely. Every move is judged against your declaration. That pressure can shift your focus from growth to performance. Instead of concentrating on improvement, you worry about meeting public timelines. Silence removes that burden. It gives you space to progress at a pace that aligns with preparation. Growth should be intentional, not rushed to satisfy curiosity or prove a point prematurely. Announcing your elevation too early can also attract unnecessary competition. The moment others sense your ambition to rise, some may feel challenged. Not everyone competes openly. Some compete quietly, observing your strategy and preparing to counter it. By keeping your advancement private, you minimize interference. You continue building skills, connections, and plans without revealing your full direction. Strategic discretion creates an advantage. It allows you to move steadily upward, while others remain unaware of the height you are preparing to reach through disciplined effort and consistent self-improvement. There is a psychological benefit to private growth. When your progress is not constantly discussed, it feels more personal and meaningful. You measure advancement by internal standards rather than external applause. This strengthens intrinsic motivation. You improve because you value excellence, not because you seek recognition. Silence shifts the reward system from public approval to private satisfaction. That shift builds lasting confidence. When you finally reach a higher level, your sense of achievement is rooted in real effort, not in how many people knew about your plans in advance. Transformation often requires experimentation and adjustment. Not every attempt will succeed immediately. If you announce your next level too soon, every adjustment can look like inconsistency. Observers may misinterpret necessary pivots as failure. Silence grants flexibility. You can test ideas, refine methods, and recalibrate strategies without defending each decision publicly. Growth is rarely linear. It involves learning curves that are easier to navigate without constant scrutiny. By keeping your advancement private, you allow yourself the freedom to evolve naturally without feeling judged for every temporary setback. Relationships can also shift when people sense you are moving beyond familiar boundaries. Some individuals may feel left behind or threatened by your ambition. Even if they care about you, they may struggle with change. Announcing your next level prematurely can create distance before you have fully arrived. Silence reduces tension. It allows your growth to unfold gradually. Instead of debating your transformation, people witness it organically. Real progress speaks more convincingly through action than through promises of what you intend to become. Private elevation builds humility. When you are focused on becoming rather than announcing, you remain grounded in the process. You remember the effort required to improve each skill and mindset. Pride often grows when recognition comes too early. Silence keeps your attention on discipline instead of image. It reminds you that the journey matters as much as the destination. By avoiding premature celebration, you maintain respect for the work still required. This humility strengthens character and sustains momentum through continued dedication and quiet determination. Reaching the next level without broadcasting it creates impact. When your growth becomes visible through performance, it carries weight. People notice the difference without being told. Your confidence appears natural because it was earned privately. There is strength in allowing results to reveal your transformation. By withholding announcements and focusing on execution, you preserve the integrity of your rise. Each achievement stands on its own merit, supported by unseen hours of preparation and persistence that shaped your journey toward a higher standard of excellence. Listen to me carefully. In a world that encourages you to post everything, say everything, and reveal everything, the real advantage belongs to those who know how to stay silent. Silence. C is strategy. Silence is focus. Silence is power. You don't need validation. You need discipline. You don't need attention. You need action. So here's what I want you to do. Starting today, move differently. Protect your vision. Protect your energy. Protect your future. Work so hard, so consistently, so relentlessly that one day people will say, "How did they do that?" And you'll just smile, because while they were talking, you were building. Now go build. Now go build.